Hey,
Cameron, what's happening, man?
Keith. Well, it's the end of the year, and clearly the weather is quite not great where you are.
Yeah, as soon as we logged on, you're like, sounds very New Yorky. And I'm like, huh? And it's like, because someone was shoveling out the window. We just had snow last night. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh. And then you made the comment about like snow and static kind of being the same thing because it cuts through the mic. So it's just kind of like an uncommon, like, it's like a skateboard. You know that it's just like someone's peeling the pavement back when you hear it.
yeah. Well, I mean, for the kids back in the day when there was broadcast television,
Kids.
that sound of static was called snow.
That's right.
Yeah. See, even you forgot, Keith.
Dude, it's been so long ago, man. I'm speaking of snow and static, should be the layout now is like two up, left and right. It's not one over the other. I don't know what happened. Whatever.
You can change it. You can change that. Just go down to the bottom to layout and show layouts, and then you pick a layout.
I only got Mark clip, mic, cam, speaker.
Here, let me see if I can do it. Did it change?
Yeah. Oh, maybe you're in control.
Yeah, I think whoever starts it ends up being in control, but I don't have a top and bottom. I only have like the wide view and the
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, there's
like
a
the
lot you can do with the session, like rolling it. Yeah. So it's kind of cool what you can do with it. I mean, I've been watching other people's podcasts.
it's the Keith show. It's
I
the Cam
mean,
and Keith show.
yeah,
Keith's got
it's
something important to say. Cam and Keith are both saying something important. Hang on,
okay.
Keith's off in the corner and there's something that they're showing. Wait a minute. Oh, Keith's
It's
like
like rounded corners. Totally designers doing this shit too.
so good. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're end of the year, and maybe what we were talking about earlier was we do like like kind of like a retrospective of like how the year was and what do we think 2026 is going to be like.
Yeah. I mean, word on the street, meaning everybody I encountered today walking the dogs, or maybe this weekend, because this is like my normal weekend morning ritual. Everybody has just been in a place of, oh, thank God 2025 is about to end.
Dude, it
Just,
was rough. Yeah.
yeah, no one's had, at least that I know, no one I know has had a good 2025,
There
which
were,
is
yeah.
saying a lot.
I mean, I think the ice started breaking. So the kind of the what do you call it? Like the not the Pangea, like the continental shelves or whatever started splitting. But we kind of went back this fall, so it started feeling like we were going to move forward in the spring, and then I felt like into summer, into fall, it was like, wait, why are we drifting backwards? And then now it's just like, oh my god, I'm gonna be done with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, which is crazy from one aspect. We're on this, whether you're pro AI, anti AI, whatever, there's so much changing and so much invention happening and so many things. Again, this is not me commenting on the pro and con, and from a year end wrap up. I think you and I have come at this in a bunch of different angles. So this is not me without judgment. Me simply saying there's a lot of things that are changing. Some of it really great, as we've called out, and some of things not great. But it's amazing that with all of that change, the prevailing sentiment seems to be like, oh, God, like,
Well, it's people haven't like put in place what happened with COVID. I mean, there's a lot of like knock-on effects about like isolation and a new medical therapy and the economy. We pumped all this money in the economy, and then there's all these just emergent things that are happening. I think people are just next year is going to be like a reckoning of a year because everything that the governments have been doing in the past like 40 years, whether it was like war on terror, economics, like the move fast, break things, scale at all costs possible, like when you have enough people who are unemployed in the labor market, and the labor market is just not coming back because of a epochal structural change vis-a-vis AI, like there, you have a lot of angry people hanging around with nothing to do. But I'm still positive in general, not positive like I'm positive something's going to happen, but I'm positive in terms of like I'm confident and optimistic about the future moving forward, just because I think it's going to be clear that we're not going back to where things were at all. And people are going to be like, well, enough stuff's happened that I got to make decisions and just move forward. And I think that's kind of the best move right now. Like all the outer planets that retrograded back. So Uranus, Jupiter hasn't retrograded. Sorry, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. I'm going on like 4 hours of sleep because I'm trying to do.
Sorry, dude, man. It's totally my fault too. No. Earlier.
Well, no, I mean, like, dude, you're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. We're trying to make this happen. Like, I want to do this. I'm literally about to go run to B&H to go get like a whole bunch of new gear to kind of upgrade the studio, because the stuff I've had here, I kind of like hacked together the solution so like it works good. But that's part of why the bus on the computer was busting out, because I'm mixing really high bandwidth and really low bandwidth signals together, and it's like putting a kid on a scooter on the highway, and it's like there's going to be a car crash at some point, So that's anyway. Speaking of AI, helping me troubleshoot all this stuff, I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. But
yeah, and I've benefited from your Gen 1 setup, so I think I have your like Gen 1.5 setup.
Dude, I'm gonna go get a prompter at this point now. I want to get a big one. They're a little pricey, but I like having a bigger. It just feels more human when someone's like actual size than kind of like being in a tiny little like half shoebox or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah, it all good. Like I forgot what the rant was going on. What I was talking about now.
Oh,
it was like
change for 26, and you were sort of talking
the
about the different things that have changed in 25.
Yeah,
where we're gonna land.
So we started feeling the change in the spring because the outer planets just dipped into a new sign and then they retrograded back. So Uranus in Gemini, when it went, and it goes back into Taurus right now. The last time that happened was World War II. And the time it happened before that was the Civil War. And the time it happened before that was the American Revolution. So it's like that's a big war transit just from the US alone, let alone the globe. And then when Saturn and Neptune came together at the beginning of Aries, which is like the very, very beginning of the whole like zodiac cycle, whatever you want to call it, that was like 6,400 years ago, like 6,400. So this is like the beginning of religion, the beginning of recorded history, the beginning of like reading and writing and passing that on instead of just like song and dance or whatever, because that's how they, the Aboriginals or whatever did it. It's so massive, the change that's happening. And, it is crazy because it's a lot. It feels like an avalanche. But again, it's finding the balance to figure out how to like amplify, I think, your own true nature. And if we've been fed what this system wants us to be rather than who we really are, then there's no center. There's no locus of individuality, and I think that's what's tripping a lot of people up.
Yeah, I mean, to bring it in another level, the funny thing that I've been seeing and sticking with one topic, which is the AI topic, but I want to come back to the war topic in a minute because I have questions. But the AI side of things, this year, at least in my space, has been not just a reckoning in some way of like, oh, here's what we can do and here's what we can't do. It's also been a little bit of like, here's what we should do and here's what maybe we shouldn't do. And that's been a hard journey. It's been a really hard journey. It's been a hard journey to be on personally. It's been a really hard journey to lead through. It's actually been a really hard journey to invent with and for AI, right? Because like as we've talked about, a lot of my invention has been in that space of with and for. But like to the point that you're talking about, with all of these shifts, and this being the start of a whole new millennia, really, um, there's so much that, even though so much has happened, and again, like we've talked about it, certain things are going to feel like, um, like everything feels like you're rapidly trying to take in and know what to do with the knowledge that you're gaining on this rapid pace. And I think what finally hit for me, and also ended up being something to kind of rely on in terms of not freaking out, because it's a lot to take in on any given day,
Yeah,
is just
100%.
how much at the beginning we are. Like, this is not, we're not midway through, like, oh God, if you missed out on the last year, like, forget it. Like, you've lost the race. It's like not that at all. It's just trying to take it in and understand all of the things that it could be. And that, I think, has been comforting, maybe is stretch, but at least it's a way of processing it and understanding it and not being freaked out.
Yeah, when you started talking about the AI stuff, I was wondering if you're talking about the change you're trying to make. You're still running into the same issues as the past because you're still dealing with monolithic corporate cultures that people don't want to change. They're like, nope, we're from this group. We've always done it this way. We're never going to change, whatever. But then, it dawned on me, you're talking about like the rate of change is so fast that it's like, you get dizzy for a second, and then you're like, oh, we're really early. It's like the plane is just taking off, and it's like you're accelerating from like 0 to 180 to 200 miles an hour. That's where we're at. We're not even off the ground really yet. Like we're about to, like that's actually a really good analogy that you brought in, because now that's what the spring and summer from February on is going to be. It's going to be the actual leaving the pavement and going, because modality wise, like element, earth, water, wind, fire, or air, fire, we've been in water and earth, which has been like mud, and we're going to air and fire, which is like, like the mud coming out of the engine, and it just like, it just goes, and then it just kind of has this dry cough, and that's what we're moving to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, same, because I'm like, what? I think people, the livelihoods that they've been used to, it's what do you do next just to survive? And when you have a lot of people kind of going into that transition space of like, how do you survive and make it through? It's tough.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of theories about that, again, and maybe to bring in the idea of war, and obviously in this country, like, I think a lot of people don't really understand that if you compare us to other political and economic regimes, if you will, right? Like, hey, the People's Liberation Army is the world's largest employer.
Yeah.
And that's a very clear mandate, right? In China, that's a very clear mandate as to what all those people are doing. We in this country don't have that, right? Like, the world's largest employer, or the second largest employer, is not the United States Armed Forces. It potentially is, the U.S. government, right? Like, in its totality. What I think a lot of people miss out on, and again, where I sit geographically in the world, is like, Silicon Valley was not some sort of a chip farm, right? Like, it was not like, hey, clear those orchards, we're putting up a fab. Like, that was the result of when commercially it took off. But what a lot of people don't really realize is Silicon Valley took off because a few things were here. One, Lockheed Martin. Two, Ford Aerospace. And we're not talking about putting humans on the moon. We're talking, missile development and guidance systems and, hardened electronics that could survive a trip into and back from space. And those things, I think people don't really realize, like this economic center that everybody's like, oh, innovation and yay, look at this. And, Google and Apple and everything, all of that was built on the early foundations of like our military industrial complex. And, when those things come, which honestly, I have to say, like in the United States, it's one of the things we're probably really good at is hiding that. Like we just, it's in plain sight, but yet it's not in plain sight. And
It's
like,
it's remanufactured as like consumerism and convenience, and that's how it's sold back to you. It's like, look at this amazing thing you can do now.
well, yeah,
Velcro.
I mean, the world's third largest employer is Amazon.
Is it? Okay. I was wondering because I thought DoD was what? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Amazon's just massive.
I mean,
So it's like,
it's the third largest employer on the planet, right? Like it's a little frightening. So, these things, like you said, we're good about going to war when we need to change things as a species, right? Like
well, it's
throughout
like
our
an
history.
economic reset too.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yep.
pump more money. I mean, so what I'm wondering though too is because everything is so digitized and it's cheaper to make copies of like bits than it is to make copies of bullets and bombs, then I wonder if there's going to be like a Netflix version of the war that people are sold to keep people in control and make them think we're going through it.
Yeah.
But so it's like like that's the new Matrix, but then it's not really going to happen. Like, well, they'll show videos of us blowing up some bullshit aircraft carrier in China that was like a casino at some point, and then they'll show some video of them using some weird laser cannon weapon from space and whatever. It's just like, and then but no, it's like there's no truth anymore. It's like this COVID was the test pilot where they were CGing fireworks over a bridge, I think in Australia or somewhere. I have to find where it was, but this girl went outside and took a video. She's like, it's not happening. And she like showed it on the internet and showed what was really happening. It was like, it didn't matter because no one was there to verify it. So it's like,
well, I mean, this is like back to our own administration. There's riots in Portland. People are, throwing bottles at the police. And, like we said, like 3 episodes ago, my boss was down the block and it was like, dude, are you all right? He's like, what do you mean? It's like Portland, like they're burning Portland down. He's like, dude, I'm in downtown Portland. I'm like a block away from supposedly the epicenter of all of this rioting. And he's like, there's nobody here. Like it's completely quiet.
He's like at the food truck with the news people hanging out. Like,
yeah,
hey,
he's
what's
getting
up?
a donut. He's getting a donut, having some coffee, like down the block. He's feeding the homeless. He's doing all the things. He's like humanitarian effort during the war.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I mean, it's like I'm sure there's a division of the CIA where they're just like the directors of Idiocracy 2, but making it like an ARG, like an alternate reality game that people think is real but really isn't, and it's just like scripted. I mean, dude, I go on the train, so many grown ass adults are just like playing these like little, not like Minesweeper, but just kind of like it's like a Tetris tic-tac-toe kind of. I don't know what the hell it is because I don't play games on my phone, but I'm like, I bet they're like mining crypto in the back end and they're solving the equation, like the human in the loop part to kind of like, the other proof of work for the blockchain or something. But dude, it's everybody. And
yeah. Everybody's everybody's a small player in Severance. Basically, you're solving the big numbers game or whatever. So,
but do you think? I think you're gonna have a handful of really large corporations that just become nation states, and they're so powerful they can't really be messed with unless you're, messing with them through regulatory capture. And then the rest of these companies, I think, are just gonna have to downsize because the economics don't make sense anymore, dude. Just like a cheap bronze plan for health insurance in New York is like $1,200-$1,300 now a month. It's like rent.
Yeah.
Survive if you don't make money anymore. I mean, not even just make money, but like the inflation is just crazy as much as it's accumulated after COVID. So
sorry, since we were bouncing in and out of like science fiction and what the media is selling us. So I was referencing Severance, the Apple show.
Oh, yeah.
And what you were just talking about on the train, which I was referring to as well, the macro data refinement department.
Macro data refinement department?
Yeah.
Is that from Severance?
Yeah. And Christopher Walken, he works in the optics and design department.
Dude, this is awesome.
And then there's the mammalians nurturable which is goat care. I'm not that far into the series. I'm like 5 episodes in, so I haven't gotten to that. There's the disposal and reclamation department.
God.
And last but not least, the secretive security office.
That should have been like public safety or something.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
campus safety. Something like even more like monolithic and innocuous.
Well, the funny thing is I was in Seattle this week, and, the company is called Lumen with an O that they all work at on Severance.
Okay.
And on my way in from SeaTac, I always pass the Lumen, Lumen arena, which is in Seattle.
That's interesting.
It's just so funny.
I wonder if Severance is kind of modeled after like Seattle tech corporate culture in a way.
They film it. The exterior and interior is filmed at Bell Labs in New Jersey.
Cool.
Yeah. So
that's really interesting.
Yeah. Which the architecture is like so spot on for that. It's like that mid-century, very fine designed, feels like everything feels like, Herman Miller, like articulated view of the work world in a
Monolith
perfect
chic.
sort of utopia. It's cold but inviting, right? Like
clinical.
Yeah, it's clinical but human scaled. It's like those kinds of things where you're just like
hilarious.
Yeah, which is it makes me laugh every time. Like I can't actually deny how much I love Herman Miller. I mean, I'm sitting in a Herman Miller chair. I'm sitting next to a Herman Miller couch.
Well, what kind of designer would you be if you didn't have one of those?
Yeah. You got to have your requisite, investment
DWR,
pieces of Herman Miller furniture. But yeah, it's funny that they've given all these departments these very nondescript names that end up being these incredibly like insidious activities that they're doing, but nobody who's actually working there knows that. So
I mean, I feel like that's like always the first place my brain goes to when I hear any of these things. I think most people don't do that, and I wonder if that's kind of like a neuro difference or like just a systems thing kind of bring prime for it, where I'm like, that sounds sketchy. It sounds like not sketchy, but like that's odd, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. To kind of go back out of the science fiction and more into human behavior, you're right. Like, even my wife, who doesn't really love like games or electronics or, screen distractions. I mean, she has a very different type of job than you and I have, very human oriented. But, she runs a business, so she sits in front of a screen. She, manages employees and, sits in front of a screen. But I'm noticing in her this, every time I look down at her phone, she's playing solitaire. And I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, what is going on that is driving you to like mindless screen flipping? And
yeah,
for somebody that is so anti, God, like, could you not do anything else other than be in front of a screen right now? Or like, do you need to have the phone like in your face? All of a sudden it's just like, what's happening right now? Like, where have you gone? Like, what's going on? And she's like, it's too much. Like her answer when I, gently, like I wasn't like, what the hell? Like the tables have turned, it was not that. It was like gently, just like, hey, I've noticed you've kind of, there's a lot of solitaire play happening, and you're using the phone a lot, and you seem to be really engaged in the phone. And I'm the last person to judge, but talk to me about what's happening with you right now. Are you all right? And it all just kind of comes out like, oh my God, like everything around is a train wreck. I can't look at it, and I can't read the news. I can't even check random social media for things that I think funny. I just want to flip these cards over and figure out what the next thing is and line them up. I'm like, and oh, okay, like do that, whatever. And I'm kind of observing. I'm like, oh my God, like she's been gone for like 45 minutes.
Wow.
So
Well,
I don't know. It's weird.
dude, it's like it was SQL injection, and then it was like prompt injection, and it's basically narrative injection into everything because as these media companies couldn't make money, it's just they got consolidated, they got bought, whether by private equity or BlackRock or somebody, and then they just get coordinated in the background, and it's the I don't know, the narrative manufacturing division or something.
Yeah.
That's behind it. And yeah, dude, it's hard because you can't. There's so much going on that unless you like intentionally turn it off, and it's hard to like to get out of that because it's like you can't even exist without a bank account right now, or even like a cell phone. But it's crazy. It's actually interesting because you're seeing this on a lot of levels with Alex with the phone. It's like there's a lot, So I don't know, man. I don't know what to say.
I mean,
sometimes you just need to turn. Sometimes you just need like sometimes I'll play 8-bit games. I'll play Mario Kart for like 20 minutes and then turn it off just so I can like. I'm like I feel like I'm driving. I feel like I'm drifting. I'm like okay, great.
Yeah.
But it's I guess it's the same thing in a way.
Yeah. I'm sure you're right. It's a fascinating, like bit of weird escapism, right? And I find my escapism is going into like the full analog, right? Like, and this isn't new for me. This isn't like, oh God, like 25, like, oh my God, bought so much vinyl, like leave the phone out of the living room and go sit on the couch and, drop a needle or whatever. But I'm seeing that urge in me ramp up, great example. And like, we've talked about, like, I love cars. I love the building, the driving, all of it.
Yeah.
And, I'm about to swap out, like sell one of my oldest cars, one of the cars I've worked on the longest and done the most. And, everybody's like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it's like, well, I'm going to get something a little bit more modern, but it's going to be as analog or almost as analog. And, I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday who has similar things, does similar things. And, not to be judgy or anything, but like bought a Cybertruck. And I was just like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. It's like, oh, like the commute, like I just push a button and show up at the office. I'm like, well, what are you going to do with all that spare time? Like, okay, great. So you're not going to drive yourself to work. And
how long's his commute?
I don't know. I mean, it kind of depends. Like, I think he shows up to multiple places. One place not too far, but here it's like traffic is shit. Like my commute's 6 miles, and sometimes it can take 45 minutes.
Yeah, so that's an hour and a half every day by 5 days. That's like a part-time job of time you're getting back, basically.
Which is, that was his selling point. But I was like, well, what are you going to do with that time? Like, you're sitting there, like, what are you going to be
playing video games?
Yeah, are you going to be playing solitaire, or are you starting a new business, or like what's happening, right? Like, and, you didn't really have a great answer to that. It was just like, okay, so your thing is you want to tune out from the humanity for a while, which I get. Like, again, no judgment. Like, I'm a horrible human being during commute. I'm just like, I hate everybody and everybody sucks. They're all terrible. And yeah, you're screaming at the steering wheel. You're just like, I hate
Hunger
you.
Games.
Yeah. So it's not that I don't get that, but I don't get it, I guess, right? Like, there's so
Maybe
much.
he's justifying it because he really wants it because it's cool, or because it's like early adopter kind of thing, and the convenience of like, I push a button, I go to this. I mean, it's like,
there's that. Like, and he worked in autonomous driving systems for like 10 years. So,
Yeah, so you get to like finally, it's like getting an Apple Watch after watching Inspector Gadget as a kid.
Yeah. So I think there's a little of that, but, and he's like, well, what are you going to do now that you're getting rid of the car? Like, well, I'm getting this other thing, and no power steering, and, like minimalism. There's no infotainment. There's no.
Are you going more analog?
No. I mean, I don't know that I could go more analog than like a car from the 60s, but,
So what do you not like the drive, or is there a reason you're getting rid of the car? Or are you just like, it's a good investment, I can make money and get something different?
It's I've had the car for 16 years and I've built the car from the ground up. It was a complete car when I bought it and I made it a shell, which is funny because like when you and I worked together, uh, Thursdays I'd be home and you and I would be on the phone.
That's
And,
right.
every now and then I go out in the garage and be like, Keith, look at this. Like there's seats sitting on the side of the car. Like, and I would show you like my pile of parts basically, right? Like, and that garage was like tiny and filthy and just, it was like shit. It's like heaped up everywhere that I was like, either like, hey, here's the pile of things I just removed. And here's the pile of things going in. Anyway, long story short, that's the car and it's done. It's been done for about a year and a half. I've driven it. I've done the things and it's great. It does everything I designed it to do when I thought I knew what I wanted in a car like that. And, oddly, I've owned a bunch of cars and sold a bunch of cars and done a bunch of things and worked on other things and built other things in the time that I've had this thing. But this has been the steady state through all of this. And, it turns out in the end, like when you're done with something, it's a little bit like sometimes don't meet your heroes because this was like, oh, this is the thing and it's going to be rad and it's going to be amazing. And, it's gone through a bunch of iterations and it's finally done. There's nothing else I want to do. But I'm also like, yeah, it's great, but it's not great enough for me to want to continue to own it.
I think it's a really good analogy for growth, setting a goal, achieving the goal. And it's like you outgrew it. It's like, okay, cool, I did it, I made it. If you have another car,
yeah, I built.
You put your heart into it because you're not just gonna you weren't just doing it to try and like build it and flip it. You're like, I want to make an awesome, cool little car based on your own preferences, and you've got the Herman Miller stuff there. So obviously you're picking good car parts. You're being intentional about what you're doing and building. And dude, the person who's gonna buy it, like I'm sure they're really gonna appreciate it. So and at that point, it's almost like there's a certain satisfaction to passing that on to a person who's really going to appreciate that too. Like, dude, when I sold a lot of gear before I came to this place right now, where I'm at now, one dude bought a bunch of stuff and I gave him a bunch of other stuff for free because he was building a studio, he was getting started. His friend came from like Italy, but he was from like Ghana, so he was smoking cigarettes on the roof while his friend went to get cash. So it was, I was like, what, fuck it. I'm like, this is a story this guy's going to have if he takes care of this gear. And, I don't know. I think, again, it's like the human connection through all of these things, I think, is what's really important.
Yeah, for sure.
And, yeah, you set new goals. It's like, you're a little bit older, you got a family, you got a different job right now. We've learned beyond, Monolith 101 to, I don't know, like we're in Monolith 303, I think, at this point,
yeah.
those classes. But, yeah, and then it's like I think a lot of people are going to keep scaling back too, and I think it's again like next year it's like okay, we can't take all this with us, like, and that's part of why I'm redoing the studio now too, where I'm like the stuff is still good, but some of it's going to be a backup, some of it's just like I just gotta release it so I can make room for new stuff because you're stuck in that mindset of like 15 years ago still because like the way you started is still it's the foundation of what that thing is. And it's a vehicle. Like it takes you from place to place. If you think about the metaphor of like travel and distance and moving ahead, like you don't want to be stuck in the old mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. And that's probably a good mindset for 26 is you got to be open to the new. You got to be open to the what's next. And I think those are areas where I'm trying to inject that hopefulness. And I think shedding the old, whether it's the old car, the old gear, or even some of your ways of thinking about the work, is the thing that I am actively trying to put into my life, right? Like letting go of the old things that served well, because they have served well. And I think you can honor those things both, in the way that you think and the way that you operate and the things that you own and the things that you do and the things that you've seen. But really like approaching things with like a fresh set of eyes and being curious, like is the other thing like that's something else. I think, and I think when you and I met, like that was probably even like the sign off line in my emails, like, stay curious, which I'm going to own. I nabbed from NPR.
It's a good byline or a good line.
Yeah, it really is. And I feel like maybe over the last 10 years, since you and I have been working together, like I had a high point of curiosity and I had a high point of, the work driving the next thing. And I don't mean that from I'm going to get promoted. Cause like,
it was never about that.
No. And like,
I pushed you about that.
Yes.
I'm like, Cameron, you need some stripe. Anyway, but don't hijack.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, that's the thing that I think, I've realized is it was a high point of curiosity. Like we were just doing the craziest things. And then, you and I, we separated, we like did the DEF CON thing. We took a break. You kind of did your thing for a while. You went deep into you actually went really deep into being curious and learning and picking up all these different skills that like augmented the skills that you had. And for me, I kind of went, it was like, all right, I have some skills and I know, and I have a plan. And for me, it was like taking the things that you and I had developed and trying to complete that cycle. Yeah, scale and complete the cycle. But yeah, you're right, like scale. And some of that really served me well. Like it was like, and I would call you like, Keith, you can't believe it. Like I used this thing that we developed and like it worked like a charm. And like, now I've completed this part of the thing that, we could never quite get to. And, so there was some curiosity in there, right? Like it wasn't like curiosity just completely died, but it was take the thing and figure out how to complete the cycle and then like understand what the journey from end to end was. Cause I always felt like we left the journey, like we achieved a peak in the longer journey. So it's like, if you think about like hiking the Himalayas, like we got to, we finished the Annapurna, but we hadn't yet like tried to summit Everest. And that's very much like what the last almost 8 years has been about for me. It's like, all right, how do I take this and try and use the skills that I've learned, hiking Annapurna to figure out like, how do I get to base camp? And then ultimately, how do I, summit? And, I don't know. It's been great because I feel like, we wouldn't be doing this podcast if there wasn't mutual learning that we've both had over the last 8 years. But now it feels a little bit like it's time to figure out like what comes next, like where to apply that curiosity in a totally different way.
Dude, 100%. There was this super loud fire engine going by, so
I was trying to talk and keep talking, like because I kept.
I was like, can you hear this? But no, dude.
I was trying to stretch it out. Like you could have done one of these on screen, like just keep talking.
Yeah. We'll catch it in post kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been. I like the way you framed how this is the last 8 years has almost been like summiting the mountain, and it's felt like that because that was Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn too. Capricorn's like the goat that climbs mountains. That was COVID. That was like, oh my God, this is. And now it's like everyone's gotten over the top, and it's like, I think we're coming down. I think we've already summited, and it's almost like you still can't believe that we've come down, but now it's like, okay, it's like the car's done. Now what? What's next? Like, what are you going to do moving forward? But the old time scales of like, oh, I'm going to go on vacation in February and go here, and so-and-so's graduating, and like that's just not the anchor anymore. Or if it is, it doesn't feel like home. It doesn't feel as comfortable. Tuesday doesn't feel like a Tuesday anymore. It feels like Monday through 3 Thursdays from now all collapsed into like an hour. You're like, it's just like time is, it just feels warped. So, yeah, the curiosity part is what I've been actively trying to go back to because I feel like it's easier to like hijack the kind of like anxiety part or just like some days I'll be so just tired going to the gym where like I don't even want to talk to anybody. I'm just like I've talked to like 10 different clients today trying to explain tech stuff, and English isn't their first language, and it's fine. It's not about that. It's just like it's a lot of cognitive load to be patient and explain like IT to people who don't have the vocabulary and they don't like they're not tech people at all. So it's like, you just need it's like it's the solitaire. That's my lifting weights. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want to talk. I just want to like pick up heavy shit and
Yeah.
grog put down rock. But
It's like me with the driving. And it's funny
yeah.
because like our problem space is the exact reverse. I'm trying to talk human to a bunch of technology people.
Also difficult because they're like, I know technology. You're stupid. I'm building it. You're an idiot. I'm like,
Yeah. And you're like, nobody cares and nobody wants
like,
this.
dude.
So like, let's build something else. And they're like, nope, we're building this. I'm like, yeah, and that's great. Like, but you're the guy driving our stock price down with the yet another like dud product. Thanks.
Or that, and it's like, yeah. Do you think AI is not coming for everybody? It's not just designers. Who's next, buddy? Like we're all in this together, whether you like it or not.
Oh, Keith, dude, you like what one story from this week, which is just like, I don't want to lose it because I know by the time you and I swing back around after the holidays, I'll forget this.
Okay, no, do it.
So you like George, who you know, like we worked with George at Macy's. George went with me to Safeway, and you know he's with me now, and he's building a demo of the AI-driven design tooling that we're building. And he's like, dude, like, I don't want to walk into a meeting, and we have a meeting on Monday. He's like, I do not want to walk into a meeting on Monday. This is Thursday. I don't want to walk into a meeting on Monday showing a Figma prototype. I don't. And he's like, and I'm pissed that like there's no developers around to build this thing. And I was like, okay, I got you. And he's like, it's designed, all of the interactions are right. Like you and I and the product owner have been over, like we share responsibility over this product between, there's four of us basically. And he's like, I just think we're going to look stupid talking about tooling, AI tooling, and we're coming in with the old ways of doing things. I'm like, yeah, you've sold me. Like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to try and use our tooling to generate the designs. I'm like, yep, that can be done, and I love it. I'm like, but that doesn't get you out of working demo at this point. Like, you're going to have a prototype, kind of, and it's not going to be in a design system that looks like what we're trying to build, kind of. So, like, what are you going to do from there? And he's like, he's like, I'm going over to build.io and I'm going to build it there. And so he's at that for like an hour, and he comes back. He's like, it will not work. It was like, okay. And so I said, I got an idea. Why don't you do the thing that we're doing? Take the design out of the design tooling and put the design tooling into the like automated IDE, which is, you know, it's a development environment, right? It's like where developers go to actually develop software. And supposedly it's supposed to reduce the actual amount of coding that you as a developer would need to do by some great percentage. I'm not going to quote what the percentage is because I don't really know. And I'm not going to make promises on behalf of my company. So I like, go use this tool. And he's like laughing. He's just like, you think that's going to work? I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's going to work because I've seen this part of the life cycle. I've seen a developer take designs out of our design tooling and run it through this like AI-based IDE. He comes back an hour later. He's like, holy shit. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, I have all of the interactions working, and it generated, he's like, you were right. It like took the things out of our tool, and I'm like, hey, this is not the right design system. Can you genericize this? And like ripped away like all of the like specific design system and kind of made like a mock, really scaled down, very generic black and white design system.
Okay. That's perfect though.
And he comes back and he's like, in an hour, I'm going to have an actual like walkthrough demo for you. And like all of the functionality that we need to show in this meeting, he like sent me a video of him walking through and like, here I'm doing this and now I'm doing this. And he's like, and here's the code. And like, it shows like all of the like front end code, the like connective code. And the only thing that he would need to do to actually make it a working product at this point is plumb in the back end like architecture. Like the database goes here and the, you know, user IDs go here. And so I was just like, I think we've proven the point that this is how you've actually proven multiple points. You've proven the point that our life cycle works, And you've proven the point that anybody can now be a developer. Like you actually, like you were so pissed about the fact that you couldn't find a developer, you used the tooling to make development happen. And we're going to go into a meeting with our supreme overlord who's a developer and basically be like, so we built this entire thing Friday using tooling. No humans were involved in the coding of this nonsense, which I think is going to be one of those weird, like, it's like the Escher hands, you know, drawn themselves, or it's the Inception moment where, you know, the guy on the other side of the table is going to be like, oh fuck, these guys have gotten into my mind and like they've actually like destroyed me from within. Like all the things that I thought were going to like destroy them, they've actually now used and are destroying me.
It was only a matter of time that it just got so efficient. I mean, if you think about it, if they did it right, then you're turning all of the best Amazon programming, like intuition, into like a programmatic system. But that's kind of like, this is why the suspend your ego part is so hard.
Yep.
Because if you do your job right, like you're out of a job with changing a company, because the goal is not to be there for a long time. It's to have like a good time and to get it done and to move everybody ahead and then go on to the next thing. Not to like be in one place for 30 years. And that's the lack of curiosity, more security kind of mindset. But it's also what holds you back at the same point too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that moment that the overlords are going to have is going to become like a global moment, because now it doesn't matter where you are, because it went from like outsourcing labor to now anybody can do it anywhere to the machines are going to do it anywhere, and it's like, what are you going to do with a human? What are you going to do as a human? How do you reset the system?
But this is the thing too, like back to, you know, maybe in some ways hopefulness for 26, but also to wrap up some of the things that we've been talking about on this podcast. And it's happening in a more rapid pace than even I was expecting. This moment, like what happened between Thursday and essentially yesterday morning, it's the first carrier wave of what we've been talking about. Like those that are about to seize power in some way in these corporate environments, and it's a very specific corporate environment. So like I also want to make sure that I caveat that, right? Like I work in a development environment. I work in an environment where we build software and hardware, and the power dynamic is about to shift. And it's the thing that we've been saying. It's like those that have the good ideas and can figure out how to work outside of the norms and solve problems. Like it isn't about coding something. It isn't about designing something. There is a customer problem that exists and I'm going to go and solve it, which is essentially like between George and I, what we did. It's like, you're my customer because you work for me, and I'm your customer in some ways because we have a presentation to give. And like between the two of us, he's like solved a bunch of things using our own tooling. And then I was like, here's an idea. Go try this and it will get you the rest of the way there. And then the technology ended up being ultimately the solve for the problem because we got curious. And what that life cycle ends up proving is those that can come up with the ideas become the ones that push, like from a leadership perspective, the company forward. It's not like a developer sat down and said, oh, I know, I'm going to build this tooling. I'm going to connect these two tools. I'm going to do these two things. It's like two different stacks happening, right? IDE with an AI backend, design tooling with an AI backend. And I'm like, bring those two things together, which, that there's no magic there. It's not like I'm saying like I'm the genius connecting the things, but what he and I did in that moment was we have a need right now. And we're seeing all of this different tooling. It's like, bring the tooling together and like pass the things back and forth and see what you can make. And he comes back and he's like, yeah, it worked. And I made the thing. And now we walk into a meeting, instead of showing static Figma things that are easy to poke at, we're showing the actual thing coded, which actually is the carrier wave to go to the next thing, which is and no technical people touched this. Like, that's the thing that I think is going to be mind-blowing. It's going to be like, it's like the payload of, we're showing you design tooling for the masses that actually got coded by a designer and a machine.
Everyone's a programmer now. It's not. It's that. So it's like the fundamental customer profile changes.
Yes.
So there's going to be a massive civil war about, at least like a spiritual civil war internally, like culturally, about what that means. And the other part I was thinking about as you were saying this, getting back to like the hacker part, the social engineering part, the influence piece, there's like a responsible disclosure. So if you find a bug, how do you tell someone that something's busted without them shooting you or suing you in the process? And this is a parallel where it's like, hey, this thing might put half the company out of work, but we can't stop it. Like, we have to like deal with it. And it's like the baby's ugly problem. How do you tell somebody that, you know, there's a huge issue without telling them there's a huge issue? And I think this is kind of like another piece on top of how you kind of connect all these things, because you started with this unmet need. You wanted to build something you haven't been able to build before with a new capability that technology enabled that didn't require a technical person or a developer. You synthesized things that were unlike and shouldn't have worked well together, what they did, because you found a new way to kind of combine them. That's like design thinking. And the result is a complete paradigm shift in this massive economic engine. And it's like, how do you not get shot in the process where you're like, look at this cool thing I did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're going to see it and they're going to be like, you just found the Christmas presents in the closet and it's 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yep. I mean, I know that. Like, I've already been punished in my own way for that with, you know, hey, thanks for the amazing design tooling. Now cut your org by like 20%, right? Like, I've already had that pain.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't suspect that that's going away. I suspect that pain is...
It's going to be global. It's going to be every company. It's not... It's everywhere.
and to your point, it's going to be every practice area. And finally, like in this instance, what I'm showing is I'm completing the life cycle, and the life cycle that I'm completing is the actual, like, where the armies are, right? And I feel like I'm doing two things.
Where the battle will be.
We'll see what happens, you know, come tomorrow afternoon. What I think I'm proving is that systems thinking and design thinking should not be underinvested in, because there are far fewer of us doing what we do, and we're a far less expensive resource to have around. But what George proved is he didn't need to go to the guy who has the same role and level as him, who gets paid twice as much, to do, you know, however many hours that would have taken, right?
We're going to do it in an hour, but we're like, oh, it's going to take 10 hours and then 3 business days because I got to do this. It's, you know, they're going to drag it out. It's just like anything else.
Yeah. So, like, you know, and this is not me getting evil on another practice area, but the economics and the business acumen doesn't lie, right? There are far more developers sitting around in our ranks getting paid far more than the average designer, the average program person, the average product person, the average analyst. Like, any business is not going to all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, we need to preserve that. Like, that paradigm is going to shift as well. And
yeah,
it needs
wages are going to collapse. Roles are going to start morphing into other roles. I mean, that's the thing. It's if you're in school, learn as much as you can. Like, you're in school, so you have time, like, leverage it. If you're in a job and you're still employed, find out how to learn on the side and start building stuff on the side.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing, sorry, I'm like starting to get sick. I'm like, blah. Nothing's going to be the same. Even with like immigration and what's going on internally, it's like, there's a lot. It's about adaptability and, like you said, being curious and finding ways to kind of connect these pieces together. And, you know, if the bigger structures crumble because they don't want to change, you're going to find a lot of people who are hungry for change who are going to look to that, and that's going to be your next audience or your next like co-conspirators in curiosity.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So it's fascinating, right? Like I don't back to kind of the thematics. This journey has been a struggle this year.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Um, and as you were saying too, like you have similar struggle. Like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what I can bring to the table. Like, it's like, yeah, cool, but I totally don't get that, and
Yeah.
I'm only willing to go this far. And I mean, you're pushing the same human boulder up the hill.
The Sisyphus. Yeah.
So it's fascinating. One thing too that you said earlier, which I think has been another mantra for the latter half of this year, is that like lightening of things, right? Like if you're trying to climb up a mountain, you want to be as lightweight as you can be. You want only the stuff that you need, only the stuff that you can carry, only the stuff that solves the problems that you can anticipate that you're going to need. And everything else, you kind of just have to let go. Like there's no reason to hang on to it. There's no reason to own it. There's no reason to continue to carry it. And that I think we've all kind of gotten, back to like the last 8 years. Like I too have gotten away from that part of what we had kind of designed in this thinking is, and it's not that I have my hands firmly grasped around all the things. But there are moments where certain things like, well, that's kind of core to like what I actually do. And I don't want to toss that. And in the end, it's like, nope, you still have to, as painful as it is in the moment to toss it, you have to toss it because it is actually holding you back, So
the comfort zone is what's killing you in a way because
Yep.
it's keeping you complacent.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've been going through the same mindset all weekend, thinking about like what gear I keep, what do I toss. I mean, if I'm going to stay in New York another year or not. I mean, this place is going to get crazy. I mean, with the new mayor, like, I'm not about doom and gloom, but just looking at the cycles, like, it's going to be like a freaking movie next year. And things are going to start moving. And as soon as they start moving, they're not going to stop. Like, we haven't had grip. The tires have been slipping. But now we're going from, like, muddy ground to, like, dry, hot pavement where, like, the tires stick. And you're just going to, like, really accelerate quickly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's about finding faith or having faith, too. It's like we're almost out. It's been, again, this is, like, hasn't happened. This is, like, an epochal shift of, like, thousands of years. And I don't know, I think if the universe is holographic and you get out kind of what you put in, like if you leave the house and you're in an angry mood and you start bumping into people left and right because you're just like attracting that and magnetized to that, I think that's the best, whether it's an excuse or kind of like a mind hack to kind of, you got to have faith and try and change the attitude a little bit and try and, do the curious thing and, like you said, get light and fast as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I think you all said it earlier. It's like, can't take it with you. So if you own something, make sure that it's doing, and I don't mean that like material wise. Like, I mean, obviously that fits into it as well. But if you own anything, it needs to be bringing you joy, right? Like the tasks that you own at work, the vintage car you own, the gear all the things that you quote own.
Yeah.
It better be bringing you joy or it better be serving a purpose. Because if it's not, lighten it, right? Like that's a mindset, I think, a growth mindset that a lot of people struggle with. They like, my role is this and I own this. And you're like, yeah, but you hate it and you're miserable every day. Like,
yeah.
Don't try and own the things that make you miserable. Get rid of the things that make you miserable.
Release them.
Yes.
Yeah, you made a comment about like shedding the skin or something, shedding the old things that serve well. This is the end of the year of the snake in like Chinese astrology.
Mm-hmm.
And the next year is going to be the year of the fire horse. So it's going to heat up. It's going to go. So it's just like, keep releasing it. I know it sucks. It's a few more months of the purge, but yeah, like doing all these gear purchases, I'm like, okay, is this going to help generate more revenue or is this a toy? Okay, It's a toy. I get to have one toy, not 7.
Yeah.
That's all I can carry
Yeah.
with me right now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You know
And
what I
I
mean?
think those are the things that, it's like in any of those things, you still got to do the things that make you happy, right? And sometimes people, for a time, they're like, like for me, outside of the material, like owning a big department in an organization that valued, it's shifting, but valued large departments, like cutting my department down in the moment and letting all that go and letting the humans leave my org and go to different orgs, it felt like failure in some way. It was like, God, like 27 people just departed for a solutions organization that sounds really exciting and cool. And like, I'm doing the old stuff and
body shop for code.
Yeah. And, like when that happened, I was sad to see that team go because I really valued a lot of the people, and I actually valued the leader who left with the team and went over there. But it was interesting. It was like a load was lifted at that moment where I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about this entire side of my management team. I don't need to divide my attention between things that I'm core to and things that I'm tertiarily involved in, right? I don't need to do budget planning for 27 people.
No more reviews.
Yeah, and you're looking at your number kind of dwindle in terms of your org chart and all that. It was like, but you know what? My ability to spend quality time in the core of my org just went up by almost, less than a quarter, but somewhere around there, right? Like if you think about the number of meetings and things that you're doing, it's like, wow, I get to focus on a completely different thing. And honestly, it gave me the time to really dive deep into the invention part of it. And I also think it was like a kick in the ass. It was kind of stupid, to be honest. This idea that a solutions team was like forming in the greater ranks around me. It was like, well, wait a minute. I provide solutions, and like, why am I not being thought in that same way? And it was like, it was a kick in the ass as well. It was like, all right, like, let's go prove that we can solve problems, right? Like, we're not just here as like somebody's consulting firm to go solve their design problems. We're actually here to like make product and do things.
Yeah.
And invent. And that felt like that kind of a kick to go and make sure that the invention that we're doing is represented and out there. And so
it's valued relative to the people that have power because it's still the old paradigm, because they think solution equals number go up when it's number go up vis-a-vis like Jira tickets.
Yeah.
Actual cash flow and business sense and the customer. Like, dude, I was thinking about this 2 days ago and I was like, man, freaking OKRs and KPIs. I'm like, they're necessary, but a lot of it's BS too, because it's like you just make numbers and you just manage it. It's like what happened at Macy's. It was just like, I think it was Drucker who said like, what you measure is what you manage, meaning you just get so focused on it that's it. You don't see the forest from the trees anymore. And there's a really big intuitive piece that comes with the curiosity that I think is what helped us really well in the past, which was like, okay, we kind of have these like guideposts that we want to try and hit, but it wasn't like we had to do it at such a specific time in such a specific way. It was like, it's more like driving a rally car where it's like you can drift wide. If it's raining, you got to go a little tighter, you got to slow down. It's like you adapt to the terrain that's changing and you just find a way, rather than being like, we're going to like make 6 widgets and then ship 20 tomorrow and then raise the price by 10%. And it's like that planning part is like not, there's just too much volatility in the system. And that's why I like the astrology, not to be like, oh, this is going to happen, but it's like, it's a weather report. It's like a cycle that's like, it's mathematical enough that it's like a broad heuristic that you can kind of, it's like a cosmic carrier wave, I guess, that you can kind of resonate against. But I don't know, we'll see, because part of me wants to like talk more about this. I don't know if it's like LinkedIn or whatever too, but I know there's going to be a huge stigma, but part of me has like getting to the letting go thing is having to let go of that fear to be like, you know what, fuck it. Like if they hate it, who cares? But there's going to be a bunch of people who are like, dude, so there must be something to this like mindset stuff, or to like, being curious or whatever. Like all these pieces, like there's something there. Like you can't, just because we can't test theoretical physics because we don't have a $10 billion budget to build some kind of crazy particle accelerator in the backyard. It's like, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just we haven't been able to test it based on the old rules of how we quantified like reality. But that's all changing, especially when we start hacking into our brains. And I don't know, it's exciting. It's just, I think the trick is not just being curious, but having the boldness to be who you really are, to express your true nature and to put yourself out there, to find and filter the right people, to find those next networks and groups that will help build the connection and the human element, the human in the loop in a positive way, not the human in the loop to prevent the AI from like killing you, but to like, because they're both important. It's like a, you know, but that's, I think, where I'm kind of netting out at the end of this is like, all right, you know what, screw it. And that's why I'm like, okay, I'm going to get an overhead camera. I'm going to get a better prompter. I got to get more hard drives, like, you know, getting the foundation set to put an investment into like this podcast and doing more of this stuff. And, you know, just who knows? See where this goes.
Well, as you were talking, I was also thinking about a few things, but I think where my head immediately went was to ask a couple of questions.
Yeah, whatever you want to talk about, lay it out.
So I'm curious about the thing that you, since, you know, like our theme for this was like end of the year wrap up and like, you know, the year behind us, the year ahead. What's the thing that I'm going to lay out all three. It's like, what's the thing that you are most excited to leave behind? Like, hey, it's 25's done. What's the thing that you're sort of most hopeful for that you're looking forward to with 26? You know, whether it's like the learning, the curiosity, or the seeing. And then the third question that I had is like, what's the thing that in all of this you would advise to be the focus, right? Like if somebody were sitting on the other end of this podcast, like, okay, you guys have talked about a bunch of things. Like maybe the supreme wrap up in this podcast are in my mind, and feel free to throw out your own questions, but like those three things, I'm curious to hear from you, like where your head's at.
Okay, what I'm excited to leave behind, what I'm hopeful for, what would I advise to be the focus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing I'm most excited to leave behind is this fucking COVID mindset of like, when we diverged, I was on a path to go work very likely in intelligence. And I didn't want to do that because it would have been like socially engineering the system to like, that's what happened. But I didn't want to do that because I thought there's a better path. Like, that's breaking down right now. The old way, it just feel like it's been dragging on forever. Like this climb has been like incessant, like nonstop. It feels like it's been almost since like 2016, 2018, even almost like a decade long. I'm super psyched to let that go because that's just not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm most hopeful for is that the change that's coming, you know, I put a lot of discipline in place. Like I was working out 5 days a week. I dropped 16 pounds. I kept my strength up. We did this podcast, not weekly, but regularly enough that it was, you know, we got outside. We got outside the 3 podcast window where we're like in the top, I don't know, a few percentile, which is awesome. You know, congratulations to us. Yay, us. Exactly. And, you know, I'm doing a lot of experiments with like this media stuff, with video. I'm building like an Oracle deck based on street art that I want to do like a show out of to like get real people. Like, dude, I want to speak Spanish to the delivery guys and be like, okay, what the hell's really going on? And like, what do you like? I want to talk to everybody and then put that back out there. So it's like, I'm excited to run a lot of experiments. And then the advice for the focus is to find what resonates with you and not be so afraid of what the collective or the environment around you is trying to like convince you to do. Mm-hmm. Because the more you stick with the old way, the more you try and go with a conventional way, you're just going to get more glued. It's like quicksand. You're just going to fall deeper into this thing that you can't get out of. And fortune will favor the bold moving forward with Saturn conjuncting Neptune in Aries, the very beginning, about February. Like, it's going to be very clear. And no matter who you are, whether you're a billionaire or a presidential candidate or some dude on the street, like nothing is going to be stable. And it's like there's a huge, everyone's starting over because there's something called a draconic chart, which is when you put the node back to the beginning areas, but basically like it's a way to reset. And like, that's what Saturn and Neptune is hitting. So basically we're all getting a brand new reset right now. And this is the 6,400 year cycle reset. So you can be whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Just the same way that you and George built this prototype and didn't need technical help. So it's having the courage to do that, letting go of the old way. Yeah, and if you don't know where to start, like start with what you don't like. What you don't want is greater than or equal to what you do want, or what, it's like if it's not working, do the inverse, and that will get you closer, and start there. And then don't be afraid to let things go. Just like you don't have to be like, oh, I hate it, and get in a fight. Just release it. Just like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna like let go, and then if it floats away, cool. If it hangs out, cool. But just it's learning that non-attachment. So
yep,
that's what I would say.
Awesome.
What about you? What are you excited to leave behind? What are you hopeful for, and what would you advise to be a focus? This is a great question, by the way, or questions.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't expecting to be put back on the spot in the same way, but
We're all in the hot seat.
I'm game for it. So I think the thing that I'm most excited to leave behind is a lot of not knowing. And I think, and again, not to say like, oh, now we know. But this year has been a lot of transition politically. This year has been a lot of transition technologically. I think the social fabric that you're talking about, switching and maybe in some ways disintegrating post-COVID is there. And I too am excited to start further leaving behind that isolation. And I'm seeing some thawing there with people. Great example. I was walking the dogs and I stopped by the bagel shop in our neighborhood to get bagels on the way home. And they'd taken down all of the like plexiglass that they had up that was just swinging from the ceiling tiles between you and the cash register, right?
It's like an invisible guillotine. It's like silently waiting to murder you.
Yeah, and I mean, you stick your hand through there to like use the cash machine or the to pay to tap your card or whatever, and it's noisy.
Totally
in there.
Legit.
It's noisy in there. It's like there's students all over. It's like not far from a university, and there's always a line. So you're in there with like 20 other people. It's it used to be a gas station. So imagine the office of the gas station is like where you get your bagels.
Cool.
And
hipster.
Yeah, totally. It was a Volkswagen repair shop in the 60s.
It's like they give you coffee out of like the gas thing instead. Now it's like,
right. Yeah, like you're out front. You're like, yeah, give
cold
me,
brew dispenser.
Give me the leaded.
Yeah. I test.
So, like that thawing, I think is important, right? And like to deal with somebody face to face and not have a barrier between you and them, and like I don't use cash, but the two people in front of me were using cash, and like the fact that it's no longer cash only, like the guy like reached over and took the cash from the other person's hand, like that had gone away there, right?
Yeah.
So those things.
Wait, can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah, please.
We might have power outages and the grid might go down in select spots, even whether it's, I'm not going to get into why, but there's an astrological thing with Uranus or whatever. But if that does happen, it's going to be good because the phones are not going to work, and we're going to be forced to have to talk to one another again. So it's going to actually bring us back closer to humanity. So if that does happen, don't freak out. Like, it'll actually be a positive thing. You'll see. But anyway, I was thinking about that.
It's always important, like everywhere you go, you should usually have, one of these like stuck in your belongings, right? Like don't
10s and 5s and a few 20s. You want smaller bills.
Yes.
So that, because if you need to negotiate, it's like you go to like Costa Rica to get one of those little frog guys. Oh, I don't have any change. Sorry, buddy. It's $20 now. It's like, you got to bring small bills. So anyway, little
sideline, travel tips plus, in case of some sort of EMP. So that's the thing I think I'm excited to see start to dissipate, right? I'm quick sideline, but related to that. I'm taking a quick trip to Europe in a few days, and one very smart European who works for me said, there's a big difference between America and specifically California and specifically Northern California and Europe, like this place is all about ideas and innovation, and Europe is all about human connection and you know, and he's struggling. Do I stay or do I go? And
Sounds
he
familiar.
left Europe because he felt like the old way of doing things was the accepted way, and he came here because he wanted to think boldly and be curious and do crazy things. But now, as he's thinking about the wind down of his career, the way that, I think in some ways I'm thinking about the same thing, he's wondering whether or not that human connection that Europe represents is the thing that he actually needs. So I'm interested to see that up close. I felt it when I was there for business, 2 months ago, and I'm going back and I'm going to a place that's familiar to me, to be and absorb that culture, because I too am thinking about whether or not I want to remain in Silicon Valley or depart.
Yeah.
But so that thawing, I think, is the thing that I'm ready to leave behind. The thing that I am most interested in is part personal and part, related to all the things that we're talking about, but, wholly wrapped up in the same concept of I am ready to be curious again. And I'm ready to not be fearful of certain things, because I feel like, and, I think this podcast has helped me specifically and me personally with this.
Same.
Is I think you and I came back together because we were both like, I'm seeing some things. And I don't totally know what it means, but I'm seeing it. Like, I remember our first conversation. It's like, are you seeing this? It's like, oh yeah, I'm seeing that too. And there's a little bit of sanity that represents, right? It's like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, he's seeing it too. And I trust Keith, and like Keith thinks in a similar way, but he also has an intellect that goes in different avenues than mine does. And if we're both seeing it, there's enough correlation there over a wider array of things that you and I like pattern recognize that I'm not crazy. And I think part of getting over that fear of, oh God, things are changing at a rate that I'm uncomfortable with, and I have
What the hell's happening?
Like, I have a high threshold for risk. So, and I think getting over that and being in a place where I'm like, oh, I get to be an observer again. I get to look at things and discover and figure out what the pen test is, what the hack is, what the, engineer around is, what the red team through is. I'm really excited about that. And I really feel like shedding a lot of that fear in 25 has set me up to hit the ground running in 26, where I'm like, there's some things I want to see and discover and figure out. And I can really be in that mindset to start to, put the pen to paper or line of code to IDE or whatever it is, to start to really see where I can take certain things that I've been thinking about next. And in some ways, like, the sooner that can start, the better, So that's the thing I think I'm most excited about. And I think,
Advice.
yeah, the advice that I would give outside of the shedding, so that's a sub point to this, really is in some ways the thing that I'm also looking forward to the most, which is being curious. Like, I think that is my strongest set of advice. And in some ways, like, everybody's got to go through their journey and get over their fear in their own way. And I don't discount that. So that's not me saying like, don't fear anything. Don't worry about it. Just get curious, right? Like that
Keeps you alive.
That would be it does keep you alive, and you can't ignore those very human tendencies to like do things to make sure you're safe.
Curiosity is the antidote to stagnation, when if you can like shift your perspective to be like, okay, what information could I learn from this experience, rather than did I make money, did I go on a date, whatever it is, rather than some metric KPI of success or whatever that's in your mind. That's totally arbitrary.
That is a great way of putting it. So, I mean, I guess if I had to stair step it, I would say, 3 things. You never give anybody more than three things. Figure out what's important, figure out how to deal with the fear. And the third thing would be get to the state of observer and being curious, because that's where your next job's going to come. That's where your next project's going to be. That's where the next thing that you find purpose is going to be. It's where, like you said earlier, it's like where you can put your faith, whether that is a spiritual faith or a faith in yourself or a faith in the world around you. Curiosity leads to that faith in some way. And I think, those three things, like identify the important, shed the fear, get curious.
I think that's the title of this episode. Curiosity leads to faith.
Yeah, could be.
I like it. Because just real quick before we totally wrap this up.
Yeah, I know you got to get to B&H and deal with another religious population.
Well, it's G's birthday, so I got to do a quick birthday Zoom to say hi, and cause she's got another 8 minutes. But yeah, so the human connection and the innovation kind of thing that you kind of talked about of are you going to leave and find the thing you were seeking, and then your colleague, friends, vice versa, coming back here. I think both of us are the new role, by being curious and being open, putting this out there and being a little bit more structured and just continuing to kind of keep evolving this and getting more consistent. I think we're going to be that for other people, rather than I'm going to go to an office and I'm going to go 9 to 5 and I'm going to talk about code and design. Dude, the way our minds work, I'm just you give me whatever and I can figure out how to reverse engineer a thing. Same with you, where it's fuck it. It's dude, no, you want to spend all this money on this thing. These people hate it. Figure out why they're doing what they're doing. To actually address the discontent, not try and quell it with some I don't know, some fiefdom or something, and then, because there's a way to make it. And it's funny because I'm talking to the junior or the legal assistant, and I'm trying to find a way to make it work for everybody, not just you or not just, Sue, my principal or whatever. I'm because there's a way to do it. It's just, if you're not curious and you're not open to it, you're not going to see the potential of all these solutions to kind of connect them in a new way. And she's oh, but it's not everybody does that. So I think maybe that becomes the pen to paper lesson future thing. Because who knows? This has been a constant evolution. This podcast may just continue to evolve, just like us, hopefully, if we learn and grow over time. So
yeah. Well, that's a good wrap up. Well said at the end, man.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Gam, dude, thank you for an awesome year. Thank you for inviting me to kind of do this again. This has been... It's been a lot of fun. It's definitely been cathartic and helpful too with all the chaos. So I appreciate this, and I appreciate you, man. And I hope you have an awesome new year, safe and healthy. Everything.
Same. I appreciate you. I've learned and continue to learn a ton from you, and this has been, as you said, exactly what I think we both needed. So let's keep doing it.
Yeah, man. To another great year.
Yep. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Dear.
Later.
All right, you too, man. Appreciate you too. Later.
See ya.